My gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful queen bees, I will show you in this video how you can paint your very own realistic looking eye. Here we go. Yeah. Okay, queen bees, to make our eye, we're going to first look at a reference photo, so we'll have it while we're forming our picture. You get a colored pencil color that is a little bit more like a skin tone color, so I'm going to go with like a red, like this kind of red color. To start off, when it comes to making our eye, the first thing you want to do is just go ahead and make like an almond shape top lid of your eye. So we're going to probably start like right around here somewhere, and you're just going to make a line like this, and you'll notice that it's a messy process, and this is how I usually do my eyes. I like to just kind of sketch one in first, kind of feel it out, and then eventually go back in, refine, paint, whatever. And then we're going to go to the under part of the eye here, and I'm just going to kind of make this weird little little rounded shape right here, and then it kind of just dips down and then comes back up again. Okay, so that's all you need to know, is that you start with an almond top shape like so. Kind of has this weird little like part right here, and then it kind of dips down on the bottom and then comes right back up again. Okay, next what I usually like to go and do is the flap of the eye. Sometimes it's called like yeah, the eye flap, right? So I'll just start right around here somewhere, and I'm just going according to my reference photo. It's just going to kind of do this. So I'm kind of following my reference photo, and I'm just following what it's telling me to do. So it's telling me that the flap of the eye kind of looks like this. Different people have different kinds of flaps on their eyes, if you ever noticed. Every eye actually has a waterline underneath. So I'm just going to come to this area of the eye to the right. I'm just going to take just a little sliver going into the eye here, and I'm just going to make that kind of going in, and I like to kind of taper it towards that little portion of the eye here, so you see that the eyes, they look a little more recessed in because of that water line that's happening here. And once I have that, which I'm pretty happy with, then what I like to do is I like to go in and add in our pupil. And really, when it comes to a pupil, it's just a circle. When I'm doing the circle, you don't want to ever see a full circle inside of the eye, because that just looks kind of weird unless that person really has their eyes wide set open, and that's when you can see the whole pupil. And you can look at reference photos to confirm this, but usually a normal looking eye, the pupil is pretty much not fully exposed, so it'll have this appearance of just being like not a full circle. Oh, I called this the wrong thing, but this is the actual like iris, and then we're going to put the actual pupil, which is just another circle that's inside, just like so. And just because I like to do this, I like to put like a little highlight, because that's what I see in my reference photo, so I'm just making a little bit of a pencil etching, just like so. Next, I actually like to start putting eyelashes in, and this is where I start to maybe refine the top portion of my eye. And I just get a little picky here, so I just like to, maybe cut into the top of the eye here, and that's where eventually you're going to get your eyelashes that you'll put in eventually. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of a line here to separate the actual eyeball from the tear duct, which is right here. And once you have that, then what I usually like to do is maybe just do a couple little, you'll notice that there's little lines underneath the eye. And that's just showing the roundness of the eye. You're going to do a couple little wrinkles underneath, just like so. And don't worry too much about this being messy. You're going to paint over this anyway, so you're not going to see much of this. I'm pretty happy with this, to be honest with you. I think I'm ready to move on to paint. So I actually already have a color that I want to use for my skin tone that's already done. This is a unbleached titanium white. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in through some of the colors that I want to use. Maybe I want to use some green for her eyes, yellow. Grab just little bits of red too, so we can work with our skin tone a little bit. Blue as well. We don't need too much. Of course, some white. I'm just going to grab a 3/4 inch flat wash brush. I think this is going to be perfect for our painting here. I'm just going to dip it in some water. Get it nicely primed and ready to go. And then I'm just going to go ahead and grab my unbleached titanium white. And I'm just going to go Just add in a little bit of yellow to that color. That's a lot of yellow. And of course, you can always go back in with some white and fix our mistakes. And just for good measure, do you want to put a little bit of red in there as well? Yeah, now we're cooking with some gas. Beautiful. Okay, and then we'll start. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay it all down. Now, the color I'm going for is just like a mid-tone of this skin color that I'm trying to go for here. So I'm just laying it down. We'll be adding in the rest of our color values later. But right now, I just want to go ahead and add this in. And once again, I am following the model picture here that I'm referring to. So always keep your reference photo close when you're doing this. Okay, so I can already tell the pencil etchings are fading into the paint, which is kind of what I'm going for. And what's really nice is that it actually helps keep your boundary so you know where to paint and all that. So that's always super helpful. So right now, painting all around. And you know what, kids? I'm just having fun, right? I'm just letting the colors flow. I'm just letting myself have a fun time with this, right? Because you can't make mistakes. You really can't. You know, it really is true when they say you are what you tell yourself. You know, if you tell yourself you're going to have a bad time, guess what? You're going to have a bad time, right? And it's not rocket science. So when you're taking this opportunity, take time to be okay with making the mistakes, right? It might not come out right the first time, or the second time, or the third time. And plus, I mean, you've seen my past videos of my old artwork, right? And took me a very long time to get the eyes just right, at least for what I like to do, right? And that's a big deal. Because a lot of people think that I just knew how to draw eyes from the very beginning. And I didn't. Let's be real. You know? You've seen my old artwork when I was a kid, right? And that wasn't pretty. Okay? All it takes is just doing what you love over and over and over again and practicing. Okay. So I got my skin tone. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in the eye color. So the eye color is going to be a green color. And let's see. Yeah, I think that's a good mid-tone, I would say. That's like a general color, and then I can kind of work off of that. You know what? Nah, let's add a little bit of white to it. Why not? This is a sap green color. I've had it kind of just logged away from all my old paints that I've ever used in my entire life. This is one of those colors that just kind of got lost in the array. I never really got to use it as much as I would have liked to, so this is now my opportunity to go ahead and play around with it, right? Oh, this is a nice color. Hey, girl, hey. Okay, so I'm just going ahead, filling this all in. You know, we don't have much going on right now, but you can already see that this is an eyeball, right? I mean, how freaking cool is that? Okay, so we set that in, let that dry for just a tiny bit. We're going to go back in with our unbleached white, and I'm going to add a little bit of white to that, because now we're going to just go ahead and fill in the waterline. You can move over to a smaller brush, like a detail brush for this part, if you're not very comfortable using a bigger brush like I am right now. Right now, I just want to lay in color. I'm not really too concerned about the minor details. I just want to lay down some color, right? Everything is hunky-dory for me. Hunky-dory, yeah. Oh, this is beautiful. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I don't use colored pencils as much as I want to, and I'm slowly coming to realize more and more how much I really, really enjoy a good colored pencil experience. I mean, it's interactive. The sound quality is just fantastic, right? Let's talk a little bit about the sounds of when you're actually painting. Hearing the swish, 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 hearing the sound is just super, super therapeutic and so nice, right? Nothing compares really. I'll be honest with you on that one. Okay. And this also gets some color as well. Okay. Great. Okay. And now I want to kind of do more of the shadows, like so more of the darker tones that go on top of our light tones of our skin here. So again, just taking the skin tone we kind of were working with before, and this time, because we're dealing a little bit more with shadow, I want to maybe take a little bit of red. I do want to have a bit more of a warm shadow, to be honest with you. That is actually really pretty. Okay. So I'm just going to lay down the color. You know what? It's a little darker, so I'm going to add some blue. Blue cools things down, right? So I'm just going to add little bits of blue at a time. Very little bits, like not enough to really get a lot of color on there, but just enough so you can see a nice contrast starting to happen. Okay. And this is how I work, right? You know, some people may not understand why I layer so much, but to me, it's a process. I like to work with a lot of layers so that I can kind of get the right tone that I'm looking for, right? And every artist is different, right? You may find a different way of doing it than the way I'm doing it, and that's totally okay. I had a comment about, you know, oh, you do too many layers, or you keep doing multiple layers, and you know, that was confusing. And I mean, I'm sharing a process that works for me. You know, you can take it or leave it, whatever works best for you. I prefer layers because that shows more of an actual realistic texture to me anyway. So now that I've laid the skin tone down, I'm gonna go back in with the regular tone of skin, and then just kind of go back in. And I want to keep that crease. So I don't want to lose what I just put down. So I'm just laying the color on top here, and I'm kind of making it work with the darker tone of skin that I just previously laid down. Okay. That's how layering works for me, right? You're getting this blend that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise with just a straight cut. That's just my process. That's how I like to do it. So you got the top part here. Again, this is really basic, you know, nothing too crazy. Next, we're going to do the bottom lids here. And I'm using the tip of my brush here just to show some of those like under eye wrinkles with the darker color that we made before. Just taking the tip of my brush, kind of running my brush along those lines that we established before. Okay, and I think I need to make more of this color, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Some blue. If ever you're in a quandary about your shadows and it just, you know, doesn't seem quite right, remember that your blue colors are usually the more cooler colors. It cools down a picture. So if you have a lot of reds and something just is not looking quite right, consider using blue. That usually, or using tones of blue like violets. Sometimes greens help too to cool down a color or to cool down a painting of sorts. Okay. And plus it just adds really nice contrast, right? So right now, again, just looking at the source image, wherever I see darker colors, I kind of gravitate my brush there. And I just go back in and layer. Right, adding water every now and again. And again, I don't want to completely make what I just did underneath completely disappear, but I like to layer it, right? I like to add more and more as the time comes and just let the colors kind of play with each other. Yeah, I'm having fun. Okay, sweet. So next, I want to go back in and add more highlights around the eyes. So we're going to put the 3/4 inch flat brush off to the side for a little bit. I have this number 8 round brush. I think this will do the trick for now, but you can use any round brush really. So to do a highlight, we're just going to take the unbleached titanium white, that same color we were using. Ooh. Yeah, you want to be careful with the amount of red you also take in too, because it's a very overpowering color. And add some white to that. A lot of white, like a lot of white. I really want to lighten this up. Yeah, that works. That works. Beautiful. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and add that highlight up here. So the top of the lid, like so. Maybe add some highlights to the underneath portion of the eye. Again, once again, I'm looking at my source. I'm looking for where I see light and dark, and I put it there. This is kind of going along the idea of like paint what you see type of thing. If you see a shadow, paint in that shadow. That's kind of how you get better and you learn, is by just observing and paint what you see there, right? So now I'm going to go back to the under eye, or excuse me, to the waterline. Let's clean that up. And fun fact, it's always nice to use water whenever you want to get like a nice sharper tip with your brush. Water really does help. I gotta say, when it comes to eyes, they are my favorite, my absolute favorite part of the body. Love the eyes. It's like it's a fascination for me, because I just think it's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. The eyes just tell you so much about a person, and it can convey a lot of information all at once, right? It can convey pain, fear, trauma, happiness, joy. It can do a lot. And using my flat wash just to help blend in some of the highlights I just put in, because I don't want it to be too I don't want it to be too contrasted. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest with you. And now we're gonna do that little tear duct right there. And you'll notice that the tear duct is one of the darkest areas. So I'm gonna go and add in, I'm gonna make like almost a dark violet color. So I'm gonna just take a lot of blue. Yeah, this is gonna be a very dark color. Okay, then go ahead and it in right here. Once again, looking at the reference image. I feel like a broken record every time I say that, but it's true. That's how you learn. You have something to look at. Okay, and of course, just gonna go a little bit around the eyes, not too much. This is very light. Just go very gently with this part. I'm gonna go also here as well. I'm noticing the light and shadows of the eye here. And I'm noticing that there's dark parts of the eye that are right around here. So I just very, very lightly with my brush add that in, okay? Now don't freak out if you mess up on this part. If you feel like, oh my God, that's a lot, you know, the eye doesn't really look like that. What am I doing? I failed, I can't do this. Relax, it's okay. What you can do is either just take a break, put your brush down, because it's very easy to just keep going and just kind of get your frustrations to take over. See, I just was not paying attention. So it's always good to take little breaks. It's totally okay. Okay. I'm just kind of going back in, reinforcing some of the lines we made earlier. Okay. So now we kind of got that going on. Let's start playing with the actual eye color, eyeball color. So I'm just going to go in with some white and fill this part in. Now, I do want to grab a little bit of that darker color we made on the actual eyeball itself and blend it a little. So like on the top here, I'm grabbing some of that. And here, very important, I want to grab that too. And you'll see that some of that purple, that darker color does kind of show up underneath, but I don't want it to completely be lost, so I'm going back in with the purple again, that dark purple we made, and just overlaying it on top of the white. So again, this is kind of establishing a blending technique. And hey, if you mess up this part, it's okay. Acrylic paint is an extremely forgiving medium, and don't worry, you'll paint again. You just have to take a break, let it dry, and start again. That's the beauty of acrylic paint. You can paint on top once it's all dried and ready to go. Okay. I'm just gonna add a bit more white actually. And I'm just letting the colors mix. Doesn't have to be perfect. I don't want it to be. Just want to get the general idea of what's happening here. Okay, so you can actually start seeing that there is a little bit of depth that we just started making with our eye. It does look a little more round, doesn't it? Because of the shadows we put in. Okay. Next, I want to start doing the color around the eyes themselves. So we're just going to go grab that same green that we made before. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to it this time, because I really want to get a nice dark green. Okay. I'm using the same brush. You don't have to. You can go with a smaller brush if that makes you feel better. It's up to you. But I'm just going to go ahead and make a green going all around the eyes. And as I lay down that color, I then go in and dip my brush in water and kind of bring it in, just so you don't have this completely just dark line at the edge. All right. So you're kind of like doing kind of like this watercolor effect. You're diluting the water and the paint around and kind of spreading it. So you're just kind of creating this beautiful color pattern, really. Again, dip it in water. I'm looking at my reference photo. There seems to be more of a dark ring around this part of the eye. So I'm just gonna add that in here. Water once again. Okay. Again, there's also a nice dark line on the top here of the pupil. Okay. Gorgeous, gorgeous. When it comes to the eyes, the iris, there's lots of colors going on, and that may be a little intimidating at first to try to capture all that, but it's really just layering and playing with colors. At least that's how I like to do it. So I'm going to grab some green. I'm going to get hints of yellow in there too, because I see flecks of yellow. And what I'm going to do is very lightly pull my brush out, kind of radiate it from the center of the pupil here. Just like so, okay? I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my brush when I'm doing this part. I just emanate it from the center here. You can use a tip, you can use a broadside. But long story short, you just want to create that kind of star pattern coming out from the eyes, just like that. And you can always go back in, just straight up yellow. And layer. And what's beautiful about this is that you don't have to be perfect, right? So right now I'm noticing that there's more yellow flecks right around this area of the eye. So I'm concentrating a bit more of the yellow here. Okay. Layer, layer, layer. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. Okay, and I also noticed that there's a lot more white reflection here, so I'm taking my white very lightly, oh, ever so lightly, gently, just adding it in. Okay, this part does not have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. And yeah, I can even go in with my finger if I want. Actually, I think I might, because it's fun. It's just fun because like your brush can do a lot of the work for you here, right? You're just doing a lot of flick. Okay, and now I want to go in and add more darker strips. So maybe let's switch to a smaller brush. Yeah, let's do a smaller flat wad. No, let's do a smaller flat. I think this will be perfect. So I'm just gonna go in with some of that green. And I'm using the tip of my brush and just emanating that dark green out. And again, it all kind of starts from the center here. Always starts from the center, where your black pupil is. And I'm telling you, you can have as much fun with this as you'd like. Your eye has a lot of different colors. Your iris has a lot of different colors going on here. So just having fun and grabbing colors and playing with it is your best bet here. Now, usually in the top part of the eye, because it's more recessed in, it's going to have more shadow going on with it. So I'm making sure to add a bit more of that darker green on the top here to help give that impression. Okay. White or yellow. I mean, seriously, how can you not have fun with this? It can be frustrating. You're probably swearing at the screen right now because you maybe messed up your eye color a little bit. It's okay. Layer, layer, layer. Keep going. Keep going. I do not want you to give up. It's okay to make mistakes. This is why you're painting and not doing tax returns. I mean, let's be real here, right? Relax. Okay, and then you'll notice that there's a highlight going on this part of the eye. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that in. That's like a white color. Kind of emanates from the iris, or from the pupil, excuse me. I keep confusing the two. I'm probably going to do like a line coming out this way, a little separated. Maybe another one like that. Okay. I'm imitating the light that's bouncing on the eye right now. Okay. And yeah, that's pretty cute. I love it. Now that we kind of got a general idea, right? A general shape, color idea, I'm going to go ahead and add in some black to our pupil, and as well as adding our eyelashes, and then we'll be adding in our little details and such. So I'm going to move on to our number 0 flat brush. This is really great for details. Dip it in water, dip it in the black. First and foremost, we're going to make our pupil, and again, don't get too worked up about this part. It's okay, you're having fun, you're creating. Okay, I'm going to probably make my pupil just a little bigger. Okay, and again, water is really going to help you make those nice, smooth looking lines. Okay. And now we're going to start to put in our eyelashes. So once again, get your brush nice and wet, fill it up with that black, but not too much. And then I'm just going to start to add in eyelashes. Now eyelashes, really you're just taking the tip of your brush, moving it up, just like so. And thing about eyelashes, it's not just one, there's a lot. You have a lot of eyelashes. So take this time to use the tip of that brush, very little pressure, and add in your eyelashes. Now, you'll notice that the eyelashes start to curve in and kind of goes into the eye towards the bottom as it tapers in this way, but it always curves out. Always curves out. Always be curving out, just like that. So you just want to keep repeating this step over and over again. And if you're seeing that you're not getting that nice tapered edge, make sure your brush is really wet. I'm talking like it needs to be like ink. Okay, that's how you really get those nice, smooth finishes. Okay, so you'll start to see this is going to come to life. And you'll also notice too that when it comes to doing eyelashes or just eyes in general, the eyelashes really help to add. It really starts to say like, oh yeah, this is an eye. This is definitely an eye, because the eyelashes just help give it that look you're going for. Okay, and let's be mindful here when it comes to eyes and to hair and your lashes. Your lashes go in a lot of different little directions, not always pointing in the same direction. They're clumpy, right? So they're all kind of starting from one kind of a little base with each other. But you got some that are a little higher than others, you got some that are a little lower than others, which is completely natural. And typically, I like doing really long eyelashes. That's just more my thing. I really have fun with long lashes. I think it's just I'm all about the glamour. Let's be real. um, so we just play it up. And you also notice I'm kind of working from going from the eye and I'm moving out with my hand. And to be honest, that's just the way I like to do it. It helps me keep the most control with my brush. But you might operate differently. You might like going from the top to the bottom, but I like going from the eye out. You play based off of your strength. Let's be real. Okay. And also, I don't want to really see this top line, so I'm just making sure that gets mainly covered with the black. You'll even notice too that there's little tiny eyelashes that kind of go towards this part. Not too much though, but just a little bit. Okay. And then we'll do the bottom lashes. Now, remember how we made that tear line, the waterline of your eye? That's where your lashes are actually going to land. So, just starting from the bottom here, you're going to do the same kind of stroke like you did before. Just random, tiny little eyelashes, kind of going in different sort of directions. You don't want to overdo it with like just one direction all the time. And again, very little pressure on the eye, on the excuse me, on the eye, on the actual brush itself. Um, I'm just looking at my source. I'm looking where I see hair, so I paint that in. If I don't see hair, I don't paint it in. Simple as that. And I'm keeping it all on the waterline. Keeping it all on the waterline. And what's like a really great way to learn more about this is like watching makeup tutorials, kind of like funnily enough. This is like a really great way to kind of get your bearings, see where things are. You get very attentive to what you have when you actually do your own makeup, oddly enough. Um, Again, it comes with observation. You see that all the time, and then you're kind of like, oh, I get it. This is where this is. I've seen this before. Kind of like how we all know where the eyes are and the head and the your head is versus what I mean. Like you start to get better and better at picking all that stuff out. Okay. All right. And I want to put just a final white highlight, just kind of going into the pupil a little bit. Okay. I'm just going to add kind of like an after highlight on the bottom here. And I do notice that there's just little highlight areas here and there, so I just go in, my brush, add that in. Okay. I'm also noticing there's like a nice fine white line right here. So I'm going to do that. And this is where we have our details, baby. Okay. So as you can see, I kind of messed up on this side, so I'm just going back in with that dark green blue. Just adding it in like so. Let's give it a little fix up. So I'm going back now and fixing up the top lash area to make it slope down just a little bit more. That's just kind of my preferred style. And one thing I want to add too, there's a little bit of a darker area on the top, right underneath where the lash is from the pupil. That's usually characterized by kind of a darker version of the green that we were working with. So all I'm going to do is going to take that green we were working with, a little bit of blue and black. And that should help us get the color we're looking for. And again, I'm just using broadside and the tips of my brush here to kind of put that color in there. And then just add a little bit of variety to some black lines coming in and out. And I'm just adding just very, very faint dark lines, mainly black and dark green, all around the pupil, just emanating from there. Again, color variety just adds a little bit more realism. What's really nice too is that I'm kind of making like random little tiny lines just emanating from the center, the pupil here. Again, just a touch of realism. You'll notice a lot of eyes kind of have this feature about them, which makes it really freaking cool, to be honest. And I'm just adding just a little bit of an outline, just a dark outline of this entire pupil, this entire iris area. Some finishing touches. Okay. And here we have it. This is the basics of how you can make your very own eye. If you guys had fun with this tutorial, please be sure to like this video and to subscribe to my channel so that you can see more fun videos from me to you in the future. And remember to love yourselves and always have fun with your acrylic paint. See you all next time.